We are so excited to have here today Abigail Garber. Let's get started. Who or what inspired you to pursue studies and a career in STEM?
So I think back in high school, I took chemistry sophomore year and I just really enjoyed it. I had taken physics the freshman year and I didn't love it too much, but I really enjoyed chemistry. It made a lot of sense to me and it really just kind of clicked. And then in the following year in high school, I took biology and I also took a medicinal chemistry elective. And that was really, it was like a real world application of what I was learning in some of my other classes and also in that class as well. Because we learned a lot about different drugs, medications, how they work on the body, and their effects in that. So it was taking stuff that I learned previously that was more conceptual and seeing how that can apply in a real world situation. And coming from that, I just going into my last year of high school and then throughout college, I've just always gravitated towards the sciences.
What is an obstacle that you encountered in your STEM field and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, so STEM classes are, in my opinion, inherently pretty difficult. And I've had to manage taking multiple classes at a time. Freshman year of college, I was taking general chemistry and also introductory biology courses at the same time. So it was just a lot to manage, but I was able to get through it. I've been able to get through it in the past few years as well. It's just knowing that when, for me at least in the introductory courses, knowing that once you get past that, you can take more interesting courses where you can apply your knowledge. So I really liked the biochemistry course I took last year because all of the things that I had learned in chemistry and biology and then organic chemistry all kind of came together in a way that made sense to me. And I could see again, kind of like back in high school, it was very applicable to real life. So we learned a lot about, on a molecular level, the metabolism of glucose in your body. And that's something that happens in everybody's cells every day. So knowing for me, like the challenge is, yes, it's difficult, but once you get the concrete foundations, going into scenarios where you can apply what you've learned into something that is just if you experience every day has been pretty rewarding.
What is a strength that you have found being a woman in STEM?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate in that I do have a lot of other women friends in my science classes, and in STEM as well, which is partially unique to my experience at Brandeis. But I just having those other people there and the camaraderie, knowing that we'll work through it together, getting also having a lot of female professors has been very helpful for the introductory biology courses and some of my chemistry courses. I've had women professors, and it's been very empowering to see all these women with PhD degrees, multiple master degrees, knowing that there are women in STEM who are being very successful in their field and having these high rank, like high college, like college professor positions, is just nice for me to see.
What advice would you give to young women interested in pursuing STEM?
Don't get discouraged just because you see a lot of men in the STEM field. Certain places you will see more women than others, and just because if you're in a place where that is not necessarily the case doesn't mean you won't get to see that in the future. Some of my best friends from my classes are my friends who are girls, but I also have made friends with a lot of guys as well. And I think STEM is in the mainstream, it is kind of seen as more of a masculine, male dominated profession. But I do think that's changing. And with every year that goes by, more women are getting into the STEM field, and getting undergraduate degrees, masters, bachelor, masters, and PhD degrees. And just seeing other people doing it as well is very inspirational. Don't get discouraged by some classes that are hard for you at first. So for me and for a lot of my friends, freshman year gen chem in college was very hard, but we were all in it together. We were all kind of struggling through it together, and we've made it to the other side.
What do you see for the future of women in STEM?
Honestly, the distinction of having there be women in STEM, to have that go away and just have it be people involved in science, people in STEM, because if you are in a field where you need to make a distinction based on someone's gender identity, that's that's inherently an issue there. And so when you get to a place where it's not like, oh, look, we're having these women in the STEM field, rather than it's just look at all of these people in a STEM field and equally represented, not just between gender identities, but also different races, religions, and backgrounds, just having people be in science fields and in STEM fields versus being, oh, this is a woman in a STEM field, this is a minority in a STEM field.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to discuss your experiences in STEM.
Of course.
Okay, stop